KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. Hello, good afternoon. I'm Mark Westwood on this Wednesday afternoon in the middle of the summertime. Nice weather out. Sitting here with Don Williamson, Taxsaver, former county tax assessor, and more. Good afternoon, Don. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine, and let me say hi to all your radio listeners out there in Radio Land.
Yes, this is the Donald Williamson Taxsaver and More show.
Yeah, and we're going to have some hopefully advice to help mobile homeowners save money on their property tax.
And your son is going to be on the second part of the show.
My son, who is a supervisor with the Riverside County Assessor's Office.
Is that the Donald Williamson son or the other one? What's your son's name?
His first name is Dale.
Dale Williamson. Okay.
Same initials, though.
Same initials. Okay, Dale Williamson. And he is a supervising appraiser out in the Indio branch, and we're going to talk with him after the break. But first of all, we are going to be joined by some good people here in a minute. But I want to talk about this. In the city of Yucaipa, they've had these rummage sales last year and then this year again. Tremendously successful last weekend. It was a rummage sale. Took place Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, raising money for community things. And it was held at Fascination Ranch in Calamasa. Well, they're going to have it again because it was so successful. They raised over $6,000 in one garage sale in 3 days. So it was a huge success, and they want to spread the word, so I'm going to help them do that. They're looking for donations again in good condition. They're welcomed and appreciated, and they'll reach out and pick it up, or they can give you information where you can drop it off. It's the rummage sale at Fascination Ranch in Calamasa. It's 35600 Singleton Road. 35600 Singleton Road. As you're driving into Calamasa, you get off on County Line Road there, and follow that up alongside the freeway. That's Singleton Road, and then when you come to the Fascination Ranch, you'll see it there at 35600. You turn onto the ranch, you drive up onto the ranch a little bit, up on top of the hill is this great big picnic area and stuff like that where they hold this rummage sale. And it's a good thing. Clothes, power tools, bikes, household items, vintage jewelry, designer goods, babies, kids items, sporting items, equipment, and much, much more. And all items are like new or in good condition, because their one motto is it's the no junk rummage sale.
That's good.
It's a rummage sale, not a junk sale. So, there'll be more information coming on that. And we support them and appreciate them, and they help and they do good works for the community. So that's one good thing. And speaking of doing good works in the Redlands community, let's get right to it, Don.
The Redlands community.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You're
going to talk about the Redlands Conservancy.
Redlands Conservancy, right. It's that nonprofit group out in Redlands. They've been around since, I think, around 1994. We're going to talk to Shirley Leonard, who is on the line. Hello, Shirley.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good, and we hope this finds you in good spirits as well. Welcome.
Thank you.
Very, very, very good. I'll tell you about the Redlands Conservancy. If you're listeners and you're just joining us, what is the Redlands Conservancy? Can you tell us all about it?
Yeah, it's a nonprofit 501c3 that was formed in 1994, originally as an historic preservation organization, and was mostly comprised of business people who were interested in being able to take advantage of the historic buildings that are in downtown Redlands and in the neighborhoods, and use those as an attraction, and ultimately make the buildings economically viable, so that the business people would want to keep those buildings. And then it grew from there for several years before it eventually also adopted the idea of taking care of the natural and agricultural environment, because the setting that Redlands happens to be in is as important as the historic buildings.
Absolutely. All the citrus growers out there, and then, of course, we had Kimberly Crest with the paper manufacturer, and lots of important things and historic things have happened in Redlands as you drive down the street across Highland Avenue or places like that. You see these wonderful old mansions, and it just really is something that is very, very important. So you formed this nonprofit group, and it's also kind of based around the Assistencia, correct?
Assistencia is Redlands Conservancy property. It would belong to the San Bernardino County Museum. Owned it since like 1936, and it is a recreation. It's not the actual original adobe buildings, but it's a recreation of the site that was there. It was an estancia or an outpost of the San Gabriel Mission. And in 1830, it was constructed and then abandoned, and then went through a few other landowners before the county bought it, and then restored or recreated it, I should say. They gave it to Redlands Conservancy in 2018, and then we use it now as a little bit of a museum, but mostly as a way for the community to come to the site and enjoy the buildings and the courtyard and the activities that go on there.
Right. And this is just strewn throughout Redlands. I'll give you a couple examples because I live in Yucaipa, but I love Redlands, and I've always loved Redlands. And there's a website called aboutredlands.com, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
And you guys have a big interaction with that website, or do you handle that website? Or
Right. Oh, no, we don't handle that. That's handled by Deborah O'Hare, who runs the visitor center also. But she keeps track of all of the events and activities that are going on in Redlands and then posts them. And we participate in that and provide her with information about our activities.
So I was doing like a lot of people in Redlands not too long ago. I was on Taco Tuesday at Taylor's, just right across the street from the assistants. Yeah. Love those tacos out there. And I was talking to the owner, and he was talking about the historical significance of his building. And there was a creamery, and then it kind of, under other ownership and stuff, turned into kind of a clandestine speakeasy kind of bar during Prohibition, and then returned to being a creamery, and then eventually became an ice creamery. And if you walk into that place and you see the bar, you sit down at the bar on these little stools on this big, long bar. That's because it used to be an ice cream shop years ago.
Well, you know a lot more about it than I do.
Yeah, and that's just one thing. And then I'm not going to keep talking about bars because everybody's going to think I'm an alcoholic, and I'm not. But I have a couple of friends, and I have one friend, Jeffrey Solomon, who owns the Tartan Bar, which is and restaurant, which is slightly historic, but built in the 60s.
Downtown Redlands.
Downtown Redlands, but they just purchased the Falconer. And the Falconer is in a building that was built in 1926, 98 years old. That's a good example of a great historic building in downtown Redlands being utilized and having economic prosperity. And they've just reconditioned it inside, and not totally reconditioned it, but, spruced it up a little bit, and made sure that it was clean, and they redid the paint and the walls and stuff like that. And they just reopened it about a month ago. So I encourage you to check that out, Shirley. That's a great place.
And
so we, as part of our effort to encourage historic preservation, we annually give out an award, our annual Adaptive Reuse Award, to businesses or individuals who have converted an historic building into some sort of a commercial enterprise. And like this year, we gave that award to the Redlands Public Market that had been a packing house.
Oh, that's an outstanding place.
Yeah, that's been opened just this last spring, and they've managed to keep most of the historic ambiance of the building, and that they've kept the elevator, they've kept the configuration, they've kept the chute that would send the fruit down into the railroad cars. So it's an absolutely outstanding adaptive reuse that we've been able to encourage more people to go see and take advantage of.
They built a beautiful, beautiful patio on the backside of it, too. I've attended a couple of concerts there, so there's music going on there. And that was a multi-million-dollar project, Don.
Oh, sure. And that's not the first one they did. This is the Arteco company and the Tessier brothers, and they actually did a couple of warehouses or packing houses in Pomona. They did one, I'm going to say Anaheim, and they did one in Riverside, and then this one here that they were able to buy the building from the city of Redlands, which owned it as originally as the redevelopment agency, but of course those were disbanded many years ago. So they really stuck with it, though, and went through the hard times and were able to put this beautiful building together. But that's the kind of adaptive reuse and the protection for historic preservation that we encourage.
Yeah, I don't know if they had anything to do with this, but I worked in an office building in Claremont called the Claremont Packing House. Are you familiar with that one?
That may be theirs. I'm
Yeah.
not quite
I'm
sure,
not
but I
sure.
think I've actually been to that one.
That incorporates, they put a parking garage underneath it, and then they have the shops, and then there's live workspaces above it. And it's just a
Yeah,
gorgeous
yeah.
building, and it's just a great example of adaptive reuse like you were talking about.
Right, and we think that adds much more interest to a community than regular tilt-up buildings, and with the standard architecture and the standard landscaping. We really think we've been able to prove that with there was a trolley barn that in Redlands that was converted into the Escape Craft Brewery, and that building was actually as they were reusing it, they nominated it for the national register, and it's listed on the National Register, and that process in itself provides the owner with significant tax breaks, tax credits that they get for adaptively reusing an old structure. These are the things that not everybody knows about. Like if you have a home in Redlands or a commercial building that is on one of the listings, whether it's the national, the state, or the local listing, you're eligible for the Mills Act. Redlands adopted the Mills Act. Redlands Conservancy brought it to the city, I'm going to say 12, 15 years ago, and it enables owners of the homes to create a plan to improve it for maybe a new roof, maybe new windows, maybe even air conditioning or repainting. And in exchange for making that improvement on their property, they get a significant property tax relief. That's the Mills Act. And anybody who has a home that's on one of these listings can apply for this with the city of Redlands. And if they don't have a home listed, but they have an old home, Redlands Conservancy will help them fill out and complete the application with the city for the local designation, and then they become eligible for the benefits of the Mills Act.
The Mills Act. Very interesting. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are speaking, if you just joined us, with Shirley Leonard from the Redlands Conservancy. We're talking about the Redlands Conservancy and all the great buildings and what is available through the Redlands Conservancy. And you think every city should have one of these groups, I got to tell you. I wish San
Should have a
Antonio
conservancy?
Yes, yes.
Well, when she was talking about that packing house, that's not the one that in Redlands. I thought there was a church.
Oh, there's a packing house church. Don't confuse
That's
that.
a different one.
Don't
Okay,
confuse that.
thank you.
To be specific, this building is right behind the theater that's called, or next to the theater, that's called, what's the name of the big theater in Redlands?
I don't know. I know
You
it
mean
used to
Look?
be.
Look Theater, right.
You said two or
Okay.
three names.
It's right across from Look Theater, next to the old Redlands train station, where the Overland.
That's correct, the Santa Fe Depot.
Santa Fe Depot. And what's so interesting and what's so great about this is the preservation of these buildings and the good readaptive use has inspired new architecture of buildings that are being created and crafted to look like in concert with these older structures.
Yeah, I would say that there's a lot of new construction in downtown Redlands on the western side of the downtown, and that's all one particular company. And yes, they definitely took advantage of recreating a sense of the historic buildings by the use of extensive use of brick and trees that make the place different, certainly different from any other community that I know of.
And we're, of course, talking what I call the Sprouts Shopping Center or the Packing House District
Yeah,
Shopping
I think
Center.
it's called the Packing House District.
Right, the Passing House.
And it has that architectural look.
And did Jack Dangerman have a lot to do with that, I understand?
It's his company, yes.
Yeah. Now, of course, if you know the word Jack Dangerman, that was Dangerman's Nursery years and years and years ago.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And like I'm old, so I can refer to that and remember seeing it.
Right.
And
right.
then he graduated into something called ESRI, which
Well,
then
he
becomes
created
Esri.
it, he and
yeah.
Laura.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Esri is a global mapping company that's worldwide and world-renowned. If you get a Google map, chances are that's an Esri product.
Yeah.
Way back when I was the assessor, we actually used ESRI when we converted our maps to Seamless.
It's amazing, Shirley. I drive people into Redlands, and I'm driving down Redlands Boulevard, and I kind of motion over to all these trees and foliage and beautiful, lush greenery. And I said, behind that is something called Esri, and they don't know what Esri is. And then sometimes if I have the time, I drive them back into the campus, and their eyes become so big, and how big that is.
Quantis used to be in their cafeteria.
Yeah.
Yeah, he certainly has been a huge asset to the city of Redlands. We appreciate him very much.
And it's a great thing is that Jack Dangerman all these years has kept kind of the spirit of what you guys are doing with the Redlands Conservancy in mind as well. Don't you agree?
Yes. He was one of the founding advisory committee members, and he's now still one of our major donors.
And still very high tech. You go up to the parking garage that he built, and in one of his next new buildings, it's also got the brick facade. And there's, 35 or 40 Tesla charging stations.
Oh, interesting. Uh-huh.
Yeah, up on the top of that. So incorporating the old with the new. There's all kinds of buildings along Orange Street and Citrus Street and State Street. So we're talking a lot about businesses. Let's talk a little bit about some homes and some. Do you guys do an annual home tour, don't you, or something like that?
Actually, no. That the home tour, holiday home tour, is done by the YMCA or YWCA.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, the Y, and they handle that. We don't have a tour. We have a couple of other events that, throughout the year, like we will be having our community open house at Asistencia on September 21, and that's a free and open to the public, 4 hours on Sunday the 21st of September, and for people to come in and see the building, do our QR code tour, go do 3 mini concerts that'll be in the chapel. There's children's activities, tours of the native plant gardens. So that's one of the activities we do. And then we also have 3 guided hikes in October and 3 guided hikes in April every year. That's what we call the Trails at 10, because the hike starts at 10 o'clock in the morning. So those are some of the activities we offer to the community. We also have a second Tuesdays speaker series at Asistencia, and that's in the evening, and the schedule is available on our website. And it's also getting ready to do the 2026 schedule. And then we have a series of workshops, outdoor experience workshops at Gateway Ranch, which is in Live Oak Canyon. And that's a site that we leased from the city of Redlands, and we improved it to be an outdoor experience center. It's a
Gateway Ranch. Okay, I'm writing that down.
Yeah, Gateway Ranch. I'm sorry?
Gateway Ranch. I'm writing that down. I hadn't heard of that.
Yes, well, that's because it's the gateway to the trails in Riverside County, and also a gateway to the trails in the city of Redlands. And we also have so it's a trailhead, it has native plant demonstration gardens, and it has our outdoor experience workshop.
So would you find more information about this on your website as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
and we kind of brushed over that website thing. What is your web address for our listeners out there?
Well, it's redlandsconservancy.org.
Just the way it sounds, redlandsconservancy.org. Or they can just simply Google you and probably find you pretty easily.
I'm sure they can.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, don't ever trust Google, though, I have to say. They still have our addresses somewhere on Redlands Boulevard, and I have no idea where they got that from. So.
Yeah, with Google, we're like in 3 places, and so it's not quite true.
Yeah.
And we have these different radio stations. But Shirley, as we run out of time, I just want to say over the air, if you'll send me this information, you have my phone number. I hope you still do. And text me, your email, and I'll communicate with you. And for the September 21st thing and the Gateway Ranch thing, we'd be delighted to help you with some announcements on the air about it.
Okay.
So that would be good. Don, do you have any questions?
Well, way back when I was the county assessor, I was reminiscing in my mind, way back years ago, there was a conservancy, I think it was out toward the desert, and for some reason, they needed verification because they have to be open to the public and show it, parts of it. They had trails and so on. And I actually personally went out there, surveyed it. They went to the gate. They had buses of school kids that they brought in. They had brochures there. They taught them all about the trails and everything. And I went back and certified it, and they kept it.
So I guess you're saying, does Redlands Conservancy have any kind of a program like that for education for children?
Well, I can see where they're using it already for the public and the kids.
But I was asking Shirley.
Oh.
Shirley.
I'm not quite sure because I can't hear his voice very well. But I'm not quite sure what he was asking about.
He was talking about an education program where they have a conservancy out in the desert, and they bring buses of children through, and they show them the land and the
trails.
foliage and the trails and all that stuff. It's an education thing.
Yes, we take school students to Gateway Ranch and also to Asistencia for tours and activities, and we just hired a program specialist a year ago, and we're still in the stages of getting this a really active event, active program to bring more students into the place. There's another conservancy up in Oak Glen, the Wildlands Conservancy, and they bring buses. They pay for. We of course can't afford that, but they pay for buses to bring students from all over Southern California, and they'll have like 10,000 students in a year go through that. I would love to have that kind of an activity going on at Gateway, but we're completely supported by private donations, and
I was just getting to that.
Yeah, we rely on our donors to provide the resources we need to hire the minimal staff that we have and maintain the sites that we maintain.
Well, you are the voice of heritage in Redlands. As you say, you save, you teach, and you thrive. And that's a wonderful thing. With Shirley Leonard, we've been speaking with. The website is just simply redlandsconservancy.com. If you love Redlands,
.org.
.org, excuse me. .org. It's an organization. So it's redlandsconservancy.org. Yeah. I apologize for that. And it's a wonderful organization with dedicated, passionate people like Shirley Leonard, and I'm sure that you have plenty of people that work with you to help you with that. And it's an ongoing thing. You just have to keep going with it. It's about cultural heritage, historic old buildings, and lush green citrus groves and wide open spaces. The Redlands Conservancy. We thank you, Shirley, for joining us today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. And if you've ever enjoyed Redlands, whether you're a resident or not, if you've been driven up and seen the great old homes and you've enjoyed those, or you've gone to Kimberly Crest and enjoyed the lands and the greenery around there, or any like Prospect Park, or any place that really needs a watchful eye and a group of community supporters, then it's the Redlands Conservancy since 1994. Who started the Redlands Conservancy? How did that come about, real quickly?
Well, we have two members. Bob Clark, who has a company called Trimflex, and Bettina McLeod are the current are the board members on our current board that were also on the 1994 board of directors. So it was business people mostly.
Business people mostly. Well, we thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
And thank you for being on our show.
We'd like to have you.
My pleasure.
We'll have you back maybe around September. You can talk about that open house at the Asistencia. And we'll have this ongoing. This is not the last time. It's only the first time. And we appreciate you coming on with us, Shirley Leonard.
All right.
Thank you. And we'll be back right after this break with Dale Williamson. If that name sounds familiar, Williamson, it's because the guy on my left-hand side over here, I'm his right-hand guy, I guess. Donald Williamson's his son, and he is an appraiser with the tax people over in Riverside.
Dale Williamson is my son.
Yeah, I said Dale Williamson, didn't I?
I thought you said Donald.
No, I said you're Donald. Dale Williamson. But you do have a son named Donald, too, so maybe I did. Well, thank you very much. We'll be back right after this. Take it away.
KCAA Loma Linda. The Legacy KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM.
Community Matters.
Well, it's a one for the money, for the show. I think to get ready now. Go, get go. Don't you step on your suede shoe. You can do anything but hang over my blue suede shoe.
The music of Elvis lives on with Scott Bruce and his band as they take you back in time to the 1950s, the early days in music of Elvis Presley. What began as a means to survive and pay the bills, Scott Bruce has made it a career. His uncanny resemblance to the young Elvis and his ability to sing and strum a guitar, he and his band keep the rhythm and soul of Elvis going strong. He did have to learn to swivel his hips. Scott and the band travel all over the nation entertaining Elvis fans, and on Saturday, July 26th, they will perform in Yucaipa at the Yucaipa Performing Arts Center at 2 p.m. Scott's goal is to pay tribute and keep the music playing.
Well, first of all, I am just a grateful passenger on this thing. Elvis did all the work. The people who come to see us are Elvis fans, and it's fun for my bandmates and I. By the way, I play with a group of great guys who love the music and care about authenticity and musicality the way I do. We celebrate this music with people who love it as much as we do. So we're Elvis fans, and we're in a room with Elvis fans.
The show is a rockin' tribute to the King.
We've been looking forward to playing in Yucaipa for a long time, and we're just so glad. It's going to be a blast. The Performing Arts Center is beautiful. We're really excited.
If you're an Elvis fan and the music of Elvis takes you back, then this may be a fun way to spend your afternoon on Saturday, July 26th at 2 p.m. at the YPAC in Yucaipa. For Community Matters, I'm Lillian Voskins.
KCAA.
Where life's much better. So download the app in your smart device today. Listen everywhere and anywhere. Whether you're in Southern California, Texas, or sailing on the Gulf of Mexico, life's a breeze with KCAA. Download the app in your smart device today.
I'll be sailing out of yesterday in the Gulf of Mexico.
KCAA.
106.5 FM and KCAA 1050 AM.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mark Westwood with Donald Williamson on the Taxsaver and More show with Donald Williamson, of course. And we'll have another Williamson on the line here in just a minute. We'll be speaking with him. We just wrapped up with Shirley Leonard from the great Redlands Conservancy program. We enjoyed having them and learned all about, or a little bit, at least about the Redlands Conservancy. And Don, you brought up something called the Mills Act that she talked about. We don't want to brush over that, so let's talk about that for a minute briefly before we talk about the next item.
The Mills Act allowed them to have an exemption as long as they maintained it in the original state. And these people were having a bed and breakfast, and they needed to get under the Mills Act, and I actually did help them, and they did get on it, and they saved a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a really great thing. There's lots of ways that you can save money by just listening to the voice of Donald Williamson. And that's why he has this radio show, because every week we have some sort of a tax savings. And just before we came on, we got into a little bit of a debate. It wasn't a bad thing, but it was a debate about mobile homes. And I said to him, and we're going to introduce his son in just a minute, I said, before we get on and start talking about mobile homes, being who I am, you better make sure we know we have the right information. And I said, let's talk about this. And, of course, who I am, I'm not just the general manager here. I'm not just, the announcer for Donald, and I'm privileged to be that. I am also the chair of the Yucaipa Mobile Home Residents Association, which represents 41 mobile home parks with about 6,000 residents. So
In Yucaipa.
In Yucaipa. I better make sure I get this information right. So we're going to speak now with his son, Dale Williamson, who, by the way, is an official in Riverside County. He's a supervising appraiser, and I believe, Dale, at the Indio area? Is that correct?
Section, yes, in the desert. Mm-hmm.
You are. And so he knows a lot about mobile homes as well. And one of the things that I hadn't realized, and I always thought when we were talking about how we pay fees and taxes on mobile homes, and the way that happens, folks, is if you have a mobile home and it was built, I think, before 1978 or somewhere between 78 and 80, I'm not sure.
Before July 1st, 1980.
Before July 1st, 1980. And it was built before then, you're automatically on what we call DMV, yes, Department of Motor Vehicle fees,
which are
paid through,
very good, very low.
paid through a group called HCL, and in Riverside, and it's very, very low. You mentioned it on the phone call. It's about 30-something or other per section. In other words, if you have a double wide, that's times 2. And for instance, I live in a mobile home as well, And, you know, I paid about $65 in December for my fees for the whole entire year, but I don't pay property taxes. And then I had an argument that if you don't own the property underneath the mobile home, then you don't pay property taxes. And I didn't know and there's no luxury tax on a mobile home, I don't believe. But I guess I was wrong, and so now we're going to explain that. And there's a really, really important reason why that is when you're buying a mobile home, is to make sure what you're getting and what's up in front.
Because the guy that's buying that to resell it can change it over to the property tax system.
Right.
And thus, he doesn't have to pay the sales tax.
So I wanted to bring in Dale on this because he explained it very well to me as well. And I learned something, and I'm going to tell the folks at my Mobile Home Residents Association about this. I'm actually going to put this in the newsletter so that they have a heads up about that. Because we just went through our biennial rent review and all we have a rent control program, a healthy rent control program, a rent stabilization program is what they call it, in Ukaipa. And, but I haven't ever learned about this. So let's talk about this, Dale. Can you explain how people either pay a fee or a property tax to me?
Yeah, let's start with the differentiation between the ILT or in lieu fees and the LPT local property tax roll. And so, like I said, that's July 1st, 1980 is the date. So if you fall before that, your home would have automatically been in that in lieu fee state through HCD. And if you came in July 1st and after, you're automatically on the local property tax roll.
Even though you don't own the property underneath the mobile home, you're renting, but it's property taxes. The property is considered the mobile home itself.
Yeah, it's property just for the mobile home itself. The park pays their own fees.
And the park pays its own property taxes, too.
Correct, which are passed on through rent, et cetera, yeah.
Well, actually, we eliminated that in our rent stabilization program. To be correct, we said no pass-throughs for that. So the property owners have to pay the park owners actually have to pay their own park property taxes. So that's a good thing for us. But that may not be everywhere.
Yeah, probably not everywhere. That's true. So with the ILT, the in lieu fees, a couple of things can happen. One, we talked about this a moment ago. If you own a piece of land and you have that home on there and you go and put it on a permanent foundation, you now have made it real property. And that's preferential for lenders, like Bank of America, Citibank, et cetera. If you want to borrow money against it, they don't typically loan in rental parks. They want it part of the real estate. They want the whole bundle of rights. They want as much.
So there's real property, which is land, correct? And then property is just as like an asset.
If the coach is attached permanently to a foundation on it, then it's part of the real property.
Okay.
Yeah, at that point, it's become very much like a single-family home.
Most mobile homes that
taxation and as far as financing goes.
Yeah, most mobile homes in Ukaipa, for instance, are up on stilts. And
that's correct.
And concrete things, they're attached, but they're not attached permanently.
So that's correct. I think of most, Riverside County, just for your perspective, we have the largest assemblage of mobile homes in the entire state in Riverside County.
Yeah, because you have
we have roughly 20,000 just in the Hemet corridor.
Yeah.
So this is something that we're very familiar with because we have more of them than anyone else. But so let's go back to the ILT for a minute, because one of the things we were just talking about is how does it happen that sometimes these get moved from the fee side into local property tax? And so a lot of times that happens when a transfer occurs, and the person that bought it doesn't want to pay the 7% sales tax, and maybe they're going to be a short-term owner for 6 months, a year or two.
What I call a flipper.
A flipper, that's one way to look at it. And so they come in and they sign all the paperwork with HCD to change that now from the in lieu fees that they would pay through them to the local property tax. And then HCD will let the local assessor's office know that has happened, and now to open an assessment for them. They will assess it, and then the tax collector and everything as the cycle goes on, very much like a home.
Now, HCD is over in the city of Riverside. I believe it's off of University
Yeah,
Street.
it's right near the Mission Inn.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's called Housing, can't remember.
Housing and Community Development.
Community Development, that's right, that's right.
And they have a ombudsman, if I pronounce that correctly, that can
Ombudsman?
help. If you have some kind of titling issue or some quirky little thing that doesn't fit the norm, they can help.
They're in that
the
big,
folks.
tall building that has the state symbol on the top of it.
Yes.
Yes, and I think the 5th floor, if I'm
Yeah,
not
there's some other
mistaken.
state offices there. I don't off
Yeah.
the top of my head recall who's all's in there, but
Yeah, HCD's on the, no, don't quote me, people, you just look at the directory in the building, but I think it's the 5th floor. And, they can answer a lot of your questions as well. And, but this is very interesting. I did not know that Riverside County had so many mobile homes. I knew they had Hemet, that's for sure, and Hemet outdid us.
we
but-
have almost as many in the desert where I work. I'm not responsible for them. That's the Palm Springs residential side.
Mm-hmm.
But back when I started with the county in 2002, that was a division I was hired into, so I know it very well.
Indio doesn't have very many mobile homes, or just not as much, of course.
Well, I don't handle mobile homes specifically. That's a
Oh, okay.
specific team,
Okay.
so that they have the tools necessary for them. So they're assessed out of our mobile home divisions in Riverside County. One is based out of Riverside, and that does everything from Cabazon, including Hemet, to the west. And then as you go east from Cabazon, it's done by the mobile home team in the desert.
So let me underscore something for our listeners. And by the way, we're listening and talking with Dale Williamson, son of Donald Williamson, and he is a supervisor of appraisers out in Riverside County. Doesn't necessarily deal with mobile homes, but he has a lot of knowledge, and so we're grateful that you're on with us today. But let me underscore this for people who might be listening, especially people in my Mobile Home Residents Association. If you are about to buy a mobile home, the best question, and you need to get an agreement and need to get it in writing, and this would be the best thing for you to do, is the person selling you that mobile home keeps it, if it qualifies, keeps it on DMV fees, because that's much less than property tax. But what tends to happen, folks, is that somebody will come in and buy a mobile home for like $60,000 that needs some upgrades and renovations. And they come in and they remodel it and they do the upgrades and renovations and call what I say, they put on lipstick on it and make it very nice and very enticing. And they do turn out very, very nice. These homes are just as nice as a regular home, some of them more spacious than a stick-built, land-fixed house. And then you want to buy it, and it may be an inflated price, but they don't want to, because they're selling it for the inflated price, they don't want to pay that sales tax, which, like in Ukaipa, for instance, is 8.5% now, because they raised their municipal tax. And then in Riverside County, I don't know exactly what the tax rate is, but I'm sure it's around 7-something. Is that correct?
Yes, most of it's around 7.5.
7.5%. So they don't want to pay that on that. They're either going to, number one, not speak truthfully, or they're going to speak truthfully, and they don't want to pay all those fees. And so you need to, as a home buyer of a mobile home, whether it's not fixed to the property, or it is, or whatever, make sure you know how that transaction is going to take place, and did they keep it on DMV, HCD, or did they transfer it to real property taxes? Am I saying that correctly?
That is correct. Well, yeah, anything built prior to July 1st, 1980, if it is not already on the tax roll, just confirm with them that, especially if it looks like a flip situation where it's, you can tell, hey, this thing looks like it's been recently renovated, start asking those questions.
Yeah, and you ask the questions, and I say get it in writing, right, Don?
Absolutely, and get an estimate, because if they pay $350,000 for it, and it's on the assessor's roll, property tax system, they're going to pay a rather healthy property tax.
People have a way, Don and Dale, I'm talking to father and son here, of forgetting what they say sometimes too. That's why it's so important. I went through this past week with, I talked to somebody way back, at the beginning of the year, and then all of a sudden they remembered things differently than I remembered things differently, and nothing was put in writing. And then we have now something we have to resolve. So it's better to resolve it neat, clean and quick at the time. Put it in writing, even if it's just a little paragraph on a piece of paper. You both sign. I think that's better than nothing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and you can make that, you can make that part of your purchase contract, part of your escrow instructions, however you want to handle it. You can get that in there.
And it certainly is
worth noting. I know you guys have talked a lot about exemptions, but mobile homes on local property tax are entitled to, if it's owner occupied, to file for a homeowner's exemption.
Yes,
with,
tell us about that.
The county assessor in the area you live.
Even
they
if
also
you're,
qualify
even if,
for
let me ask you a
disabled
question.
veterans exemption too.
Even if you just rent your mobile home and you own your mobile home and you rent the space,
That is
it's
correct.
not fixed to the land and it's not on property taxes, you're still eligible to apply at any time or at the time of purchase.
Anytime. If you neglected to do it for the first couple of years, you can file it now, and you'll get relief going forward. You won't get retroactive. You'll have missed out on those couple of years, but if you're planning to live there for another 10 years, by all means, file it. Save yourself $70 a year in taxes.
Now, I'm going to put you on the spot here because I've been learning so much from you. And Dale, I would love to have you come speak at my next YMR meeting in September, my next YMRA meeting in September. Let's talk about that. Hopefully you'll have some time on a Saturday, and I'll get your dad to kidnap you and bring you over. Because
okay, let's talk about that.
there's going to have a lot of people at my meeting going like, homeowners exemption, what are you talking about? Or, oh, no, I'm not on, I did the same thing. I'm not on property tax, I'm on DMV. And, that starts to, like, you start to have questions about that. Maybe you're missing something. And like with the homeowners exemption, I know I missed something.
And I imagine there's about 50% of the people, if they're on, that inside the parks, that if they're on the property tax system, may not have that homeowner's exemption. It's not a big one, but it's a one-time filing, so you might as well do it and then save a little bit every year.
And it depends. Our mobile home parks in Yucaipa are older. There's not a lot of new mobile homes parks, and very rarely, in a very small percentage, where they're importing new mobile homes and taking old mobile homes off. What happens when that happens? Then they're automatically on property tax, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So that's something to understand. When you're looking at that, people, and you're in a mobile home and you decide, I'm going to get rid of this old coach, and then I'm going to bring in this new, fancy new mobile home coach, or I see one in the park and I want to transfer over to that. Be careful, because it's not just including purchase price, and it probably is going to include a rent space, increase. It's also going to include property taxes.
True.
Very likely.
And it's a harsh reality, isn't it? It's a harsh reality. We've been speaking with Dale Williamson from the Riverside Tax Office. I'll just say it that
And
way.
these are statewide programs. So even though he's in Riverside County and we're over here in San Bernardino County, it all applies.
It all applies. The same thing with, recently the rent stabilization program went through. We used to have people on leases, and we used to have people on rent control agreements.
Okay.
And, as it progresses now, the state has gone through, it's getting through all leases, and everybody is equal and is going to be on rent stabilization agreements. And that applies not just to mobile homes, but to renters in the state of California. A bill was passed. And so as the leases run out, then they're no longer being renewed, and you're on the rent stabilization program, and whatever that may be. And in some cases, like, people find themselves, under two jurisdictions, because they're not, square within city boundary, and the city doesn't have a municipal, a rent stabilization program. So it gets a little complicated. I feel sorry. We're very grateful in Yucaipa that we have a really healthy rent stabilization program, and we just came through our biennial rent review really, really well. We talked about, I don't know if it was on the phone with you before the program or whatever, or maybe we did in this program talk about where they do what they call pass-throughs, where park owners can require the park residents or the mobile home owners themselves to pay a percentage or a part of their own park property taxes. And unfortunately for us, we got that stricken, so that doesn't happen. So we're pretty grateful for that.
One thing I want to point out as the assessor and Dale too, as in his capacity with the Riverside County Assessor's Office. Don't be afraid of us. We're actually trying to help tenants as well as homeowners. And you don't think of an assessor helping renters or
They
tenants.
just think of the collection
But-
agents and
But we do.
And didn't the San Bernardino County put both the tax collector and the assessor in the same office?
The assessor and
They're separate officials.
They're
They may
separate
reside in the
offices,
same building.
but the treasurer, tax collector, and the
Tax assessor.
recorder went to the assessor, and the property tax went to the auditor controller.
Oh, okay. So, you can see why people get a little scared, but really these people are your resources. More than anything, they're going to help you if you go to them. Or, they have websites you can go to research without talking to them, first of all, and then you have more questions. But as you see, as we're talking with Dale, he's been a great resource this afternoon for us to understand this. And that's what you need to do is be proactive and make sure that you're understanding or that you're taking advantage of all the benefits that you can do. And these people who are taxpayer assessors, or taxpayer supported, rather, I should say, are there for that very reason.
And if you're buying that coach for the first time and it is on the property tax system, then you want to get that homeowner's exemption. By the way, you can go to the website to get the form, or you can go in and get it. But if you go on the website, you should get both what they call there's two other, one explains the instructions for filling out the form, and the other is called the information sheet about the program. So they should get them with and this applies to any exemption, to get both of them along with the exemption form.
Yeah, and I want to ask a redundant question. I've already talked to you about this, but not on the air, and that is the fact that, for whatever reason, you decide, and you probably shouldn't do this, if you're on the DMV fees, which is much less and much easier to deal with, and you just pay it annually, stay on the DMV fees. But if for whatever reason you're doing a sale and you don't want to pay the property taxes and you want to switch to property taxes, my question is, can you go from DMV fees, or ILF as they call it, which stands for? ILF stands for?
In lieu fees?
In lieu fees, that's
Yes,
right.
in lieu fees.
Or LPT, which is
Local property tax.
Local property
local
tax.
property taxes. If you want to go to that, can you switch back and forth?
No, you cannot.
In
It's
the old
way
could,
speed.
but not now, I don't think.
Yeah, no, it's a one-time deal. It's a one and done, and that's why if you're looking at buying a home that has been freshly remodeled, start with that question. Is this home owned by a longtime owner? Is this home owned by a flipper? Because it's usually that flip situation where it gets converted to local property tax. From something built, say, in the mid '70s.
Yeah, that's because
Because they don't want to lose revenue, right? They want to make all the revenue they can, and so they'll flip that thing in a minute to save that 7%. And then the buyer comes along and they're going to be on local property tax. There's no way around it.
And I bought my home in 2003 for, not kidding you, $20,500.
Mm-hmm.
That same home now, right across the street, in a home that's not on an end space like I am, and is not nearly as nice because I've remodeled my house. That house is selling for $178,000 as we speak, and it hasn't had anything done to it. And so some of these house flippers come in, and what's happened is they get a house that was open and available due to a death or something like that, or people move and they don't want to keep the house, or the children don't want to pay the space fees, and they just want to get rid of this house. So they sell it for a very much under market value, for $50,000, $60,000. The house flippers go, yes, we're going to take that. We're going to come in. We're going to put in laminate, hardwood-looking floors. We're going to put in walk-in
Updated.
showers. We're going to put Corinthian countertops, or whatever they call
Make it
that.
beautiful.
Make it beautiful. And it's the same house.
And raise the price.
And then, raise the price. And they're liable to triple it,
Yeah.
So that same house will sell for $215,000. And by the way, folks, your mobile home, if you own it, depends on the park, or if you're purchasing one, depends on the park that you buy into. It really has a lot to do with the value of your mobile home. If you have a beautiful park that's well appointed and well maintained, you're going to have a high value mobile home. If you go into a park that looks like a trailer park with the old junkers all parked around and stashed around and people storing stuff, your home's not going to be worth as much, and the resale value is not going to be worth as much, and the purchase value shouldn't be as much. So it's very important to keep that. We're just running out of time here. Dale, I really appreciate you coming on today. And we've been talking with Dale Williamson. Thank you, Dale.
I just want to make one comment about the valuation. If they're doing it for the local property tax system, location is not supposed to be taken into account.
Okay, but that's reality. Okay, it's not reality.
For the rental parks, yes.
Yeah, that's true. Well, thank you.
They're supposed to be assessed regardless of location.
Okay.
But,
Officially, that is what it is said. Okay,
I had
we'll
to
say that. Okay.
Thanks, Dale.
Thanks, Dale, for
All
being
right.
with us. And thanks, Donald Williamson. I'm Mark Westwood on the Donald Williamson Taxsaver, Payer, and More radio show every week at this time at 3 p.m. We'll return next week at 3 p.m. right here at the same time, same bat channel, 1050 a.m. and 106.5 FM. Thank you, Eric Casario in the control room. Take it away.
Trying to help tenants and owners.
That's right.